In a hardware supplies warehouse, a forklift operator was transporting a horizontally positioned box through the facility when the load became wedged in a tight space, striking a support column of a large storage rack system. The impact caused the entire rack to collapse, which triggered a catastrophic domino effect as multiple adjacent rack systems progressively fell in sequence. This incident clearly demonstrates the severe consequences of inadequate aisle width, improper load orientation, and insufficient rack anchoring systems in warehouse operations. All warehouse aisles must provide adequate clearance for equipment and maximum load widths with safety margins preventing contact with rack uprights or structural components. In a paper manufacturing facility, a massive roll of raw paper was being lowered into a roller machine using an overhead crane when the operator made an error, causing the load to become unbalanced. The heavy paper roll fell, and the forces involved pulled down the entire overhead crane structure along with it in a catastrophic structural failure. This incident clearly demonstrates the devastating consequences of operator error during critical lifts and the importance of proper rigging, load control, and structural capacity verification. Operators must maintain constant control using smooth, gradual movements, avoiding sudden stops, starts, or directional changes that destabilize loads. At a road construction site during break time, a crane operator was playing around with a cement-laying boom pipe. During this horseplay, a mechanical malfunction occurred, causing the boom to swing violently and slam down to the ground with tremendous force, striking a worker who was walking alongside the equipment. This incident clearly demonstrates the catastrophic consequences of equipment horseplay and operating machinery during non-work periods without a legitimate purpose. All heavy equipment must only be operated for authorized work tasks by qualified personnel. Playing, joking, or recreational use of cranes, excavators, or machinery is strictly prohibited and grounds for immediate termination. Outside a fiberglass factory, a worker was manually holding thick fiberglass sheets in his truck bed when a sheet beside him tipped and fell to the ground, shattering. Distracted by it, he released his grip on the sheet he was holding and turned to look. The unsupported sheets immediately fell onto his back, making him fall down the truck, shattering on impact and covering him with broken fiberglass. This incident clearly demonstrates the critical dangers of manual material handling for large, unstable sheets and the consequences of inadequate securing during loading operations. All large flat materials require proper A-frame racks, vertical storage systems, or mechanical supports, preventing tipping during handling. At a road clearing operation, a truck-mounted crane positioned dangerously close to a cliff edge was lifting a large boulder to load into the cargo bed. The remote crane operator misjudged the swing path and moved the boulder beyond the truck bed over the cliff edge. The boulder's weight and momentum pulled the entire truck over the edge, causing it to tip and plummet down the cliff. This incident clearly demonstrates catastrophic positioning errors and inadequate load control during crane operations near drop-offs. All mobile crane operations require proper positioning on level, stable ground with adequate setback distances from excavation edges, cliffs, embankments, or drop-offs, preventing tip-over if loads swing beyond stability zones. In a junkyard, a worker standing atop a cargo bed was cutting restraining ties securing a bundle of rusted scrap metal pipes. As he severed the final tie, the pipes immediately shifted and rolled toward one side of the truck bed. The sudden weight transfer tipped the entire truck over, catapulting the worker through the air from the overturning bed. This incident clearly demonstrates the catastrophic dangers of improper restraint removal sequencing and workers positioning themselves on unstable loads during tie-down release. All cargo restraints must be removed in specific sequences, maintaining load stability throughout the process, never cutting all ties simultaneously, allowing gradual and not complete load shift. Outside a wet market, a worker was conducting normal duties when a box truck with an external rear platform began reversing directly toward her. The vehicle continued backing up despite her screaming, pinning her against boxes. The driver remained completely unaware and continued trying to reverse while the worker was trapped and screaming. After an extended period, the driver finally moved forward, releasing the worker. This incident clearly demonstrates the catastrophic dangers of inadequate visibility during backing operations and the absence of required spotters or backup safety systems. All commercial vehicle backing operations require spotters guiding drivers, backup cameras providing rear visibility, and audible alarms warning pedestrians of reversing vehicles. At a road repair site, an excavator was conducting normal operations when a worker walked close behind the machine. As the excavator's body rotated, its rear struck the worker in the back of the head with fatal force. No one witnessed the incident occur. This incident clearly demonstrates the catastrophic dangers of inadequate exclusion zones around rotating heavy equipment and the severe blind spot limitations of excavator operators. All excavators require established exclusion zones preventing personnel from approaching within the swing radius of rotating superstructures, especially the rear counterweight area, which creates the largest blind spot. At a demolition site, a crane machine attempted to lift and extract a post foundation from the ground when the foundation's weight far exceeded the crane's lifting capacity. The excessive load overpowered the machine's stability, causing it to tip forward and completely overturn, destroying the equipment. This incident clearly demonstrates the catastrophic consequences of exceeding equipment capacity and inadequate assessment of extraction forces during demolition operations. Demolition extractions present unique challenges as foundations, posts, and embedded structures often weigh significantly more than expected due to concrete footings, soil adhesion, and underground attachments creating extraction resistance many times greater than visible component weight. In an automotive repair shop, a mechanic was working at the rear of a dump truck positioned beneath an open overhead door. Without warning, the door suddenly closed, crushing the back of his neck between the descending door and the truck surface. He collapsed to the ground, bleeding from severe neck trauma. This incident clearly demonstrates the catastrophic failure of door safety systems and the fatal dangers of positioning workers in potential crush zones. Workers must never position themselves where closing doors, gates, or moving barriers could crush them between surfaces. These are recognized pinch point hazards, requiring elimination through proper procedures and equipment controls. In a furniture warehouse, a forklift operator placed a metal drawer frame and began reversing to disengage the forks. However, he failed to fully retract them from the frame before raising them, so the metal frame flipped upward and fell onto a nearby worker. This incident clearly demonstrates the critical importance of complete forklift disengagement verification and maintaining awareness of ground personnel during forklift operations. Operators must develop systematic checking procedures ensuring full disengagement by backing adequate distances and visually verifying clearance before any vertical or tilting movements. Workers on foot must maintain safe distances from forklifts during loading and unloading operations.